Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yeah, we are currently testing our lower level of support here within this sideways range that we're currently in. Obviously had a little bit of a move down here in sympathy with stock markets. With stock markets, and just very simply put, all we are doing is having a risk off fear trade based on what is going on, obviously with Russia and the Ukraine. If we do just quickly go over to major markets, it is pretty obvious. Obviously, stock selling off is the is one clue. The 10-year yield selling off is another clue, obviously, of risk off. Dollar rising slightly, but moving up is another clue of the risk off. And then obviously finally, in fact not finally, we've got oil, which is obviously probably the most telling sign, because this is rallying obviously off the basis of potential conflict. And then finally that good old risk off asset, gold. Here we go, making a little move off it. So there is overwhelming evidence that the move that we are currently having is based off a fear of conflict. So yeah, we are hitting what I could perceive as peak FUD in these markets. I know we spoke about that emergency rate hike. That Fed meeting that is not even I call it an emergency Fed meeting, but we talked about that meeting, and I was pretty convinced initially that was to basically raise rates intra-meeting rate, raise intra-meeting, whatever, between meetings, raise the rates, and then raise them in March as well, which will obviously be a 50 basis point move. But what maybe they're doing, because I have seen commentary that it would not be a good look at all for them to have a meeting not too long ago, then have to all of a sudden have another meeting and then raise rates when they could have done it before. So maybe what they are doing, maybe we are still getting that 50 basis point rise by March, but maybe they're having this meeting to then to communicate to the market that it will be a 50 basis point rise in March, and that will be the clarity that's needed. Because like I said, the market needs clarity, it needs certainty, it needs to know what's going on to be able to digest that information and then basically continue on upwards. So yeah, that is potentially what's happening. Maybe on Monday, I guess we're going to know tomorrow. Monday, not tomorrow. Next trading day, next Monday. Next trading day, obviously it's not today, not tomorrow, Monday. Next trading day we'll know, because that'll be Monday. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But so either they are going to raise then, or they're going to communicate to the market that on March the 16th we're going to get 50 basis points. So I think we are hitting kind of peak FUD here. In my opinion, you always know it's obviously sell the rumor, buy the fact. And if you look at the market when we went into the Gulf conflict, that we basically sold off and then rallied into it. I mean, you obviously get long these things because it is beneficial for markets basically. So yeah, I mean, if there's actually conflict, then ultimately we may get a dip, but then we will power on higher. And then it seems like the Fed is coming, not the Fed, the market is coming to terms with what the Fed is doing. And I do only realistically think there is only room for inflation to be easing off from this point. Maybe one last print next month, and then we will be falling off a cliff with that inflation. Maybe we only get down to about 5 or 4%, but that gives the Fed considerable wiggle room, at least, even if it is just to claim that they are being effective, even though it is basically base effect. But yeah, we shall see what happens. But all very interesting times. In the context of that, I mean, stock markets, I'm not even looking too bad. I would not expect us to move too much lower from here unless there's like a wick down on an actual commencement of activities, commencement of a conflict. But I do think we have got a good chance then, obviously, of basically putting in a higher low relative to these lows, and then we'll be working on a higher high. And then obviously recovery markets don't just move straight up or straight down, or they are more inclined to move straight down, but then they don't necessarily move straight up. But yeah, we could just look to stabilize around here, grind this area out a bit like we did down here, similar price action, grind this out, break back up, and then break on upwards to the next higher level, which would be obviously be around these previous basically all-time highs, barring this bit of price action. So that is my view. Ever the optimist. I do think we are hitting a lot of FUD in this market, obviously Fed FUD and Russia Ukraine FUD. So yeah, it is not necessarily nice, but this does need to get below 2% because this is FUD in itself above here. It's not obviously the scenario that we necessarily want this to, but if there is a reason for people to be buying bonds, then that will be clearly good for obviously the people that are that need to sell bonds out there to keep the Ponzi scheme going. So they're just a view on that. But obviously this cranking up is not good. Obviously the latest inflation reports, food and energy prices are massively feeding into that. I mean, food is particularly bad because obviously energy will then further feed into to compound food even higher, but there will be other aspects coming down. Yeah, and obviously I know supply chain is easing off. Obviously if we end up with more of these convoys, then we could end up with obviously a lot more supply chain problems. So yeah, I mean that again is FUD is obviously not like it's necessarily fake news or whatever, or fake FUD, but it is basically another thing in negatively impacting markets at the moment. So we have got a lot of negative going on. We have had a lot of pain trades within these markets, so ultimately those things can thaw off and then we can potentially push on higher. But in the very short term though, people are not going to look at this over the weekend and be convinced that we aren't then just going to take out these lows and make lower lows. They will be looking at us potentially making lower lows. There will be a certain amount of people that will just come see this and dump. They obviously quickly dumped into the close on Friday. So yeah, they will see this and they'll be fear into Monday. So maybe obviously open a trade depending on what happens over the weekend. Clearly we are event political risk driven at the moment. With obviously the Ukraine, so that could ease any point, that could ease off. There could be some talks or statements or whatever, and then we could obviously then open Monday like on a nice move up. So that is the problem with event risk. But yeah, we shall have to see how that all plays out. Not too much that we can look at here now, to be honest. We'll have a look at stochastics. We are at an important level though, so we do need some support here. But yeah, 4 hour is looking to turn back up from a low level, so we could potentially get some support there. I doubt much else in this mid-range is going to be helping us out. But 10 hour may be getting quite low. Yeah, not really, not that low at the moment. Could obviously come lower. Potential trend line that we probably will break, but yeah, 10 hour still coming down, 12 hour down and got a lot of room to run. Daily turning down from a high level. So yeah, not looking ideal for us to hold this, so it is touch and go with the support level. And then obviously 2-day, 3-day, 5-day, all looking good here. Weekly looking to turn up, and obviously bi-weekly and monthly down. But I mean, like I said, if we go back to this, if we can basically hold this. The ideal scenario is we obviously hold here. And then basically digest all this FUD and move on upwards. But worst case, it's not the worst case. The worst case we do come down, but failing this level, if we can then hold say around this $39,000 level, not obviously come down to test these lows, put in a base here, then turn back up, it will not look that bad in the context of the overall move. Potentially squint and see it, and of sorts inverted head and shoulders type thing. But yeah, we are a lot event driven here. I guess we've got to wait to see what the Fed does on Monday. Like I said, I did initially think it's pretty obvious it's going to be a rate hike, but ultimately I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be by March 16th a 50 basis point rise, even if the market gets communicated that fact on Monday, or we just get the 25 basis point on Monday and then 25 basis point on the 16th. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Hope you guys have all got a great weekend planned. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.